This video features a brief talk on yoga bandhas or locks and their physical, pranic, and spiritual effects. The physical effects of bandhas. Bandhas affect the endocrine glands and aid in the general purification of the body. As these glands are intimately related to the chakras, it is a natural consequence that the bandhas also affect the chakras. When stimulated, the chakras influence every aspect of the physical organism, revitalizing it with life-sustaining energy. The performance of bandhas in conjunction with pranayama, breath and energy control, affects the whole body as follows. They harmonize the efficient functioning of the endocrine system. Jalandhara bandha directly influences the pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, and thymus. Uddiyana bandha directly influences the adrenals and the pancreas. Mula bandha directly influences the gonads and the perineal body or cervix, which are said to be vestigial endocrine glands. All bandhas have an indirect effect on the pituitary, pineal, and brain. As a result of the direct effect that bandhas have on the endocrine glands, certain biorhythms in the body are also regulated. For example, both Mula bandha and Uddiyana bandha are extremely useful in stabilizing menstrual periods. All bandhas, when performed correctly, lower respiration rate, inducing calmness and relaxation. When performing bandhas, blood pressure is decreased and heart rate is also decreased. Alpha brainwave production, an index of profound relaxation, is increased, indicating slowing of nervous activity. Sympathetic activity in the body is decreased, a further index of relaxation. Confused and/or crossed neuronal circuits in the brain are reordered, in effect retraining the brain. The digestive system is toned, massaged, and revitalized via pressure on the internal organs. Harmony in the activity of the urogenital system occurs as a result of reflex action via the nervous system. The pranic or energetic effects of bandhas. Each bandha is associated with the stimulation of a specific focus of prana. Bandhas are said to be mutually related to certain nerve plexes in the spine and the endocrine glands, as well as pranic energy centers known as chakras. For each nerve plexus and endocrine gland on the physical level, there exists a corresponding chakra on the pranic level, as follows. Muladhara chakra corresponds to the sacral or coccygeal plexus. Svadhisthana chakra correlates to the prostatic plexus. Manipura chakra to the solar plexus. Anahata chakra to the cardiac plexus. Vishuddhi chakra to the pharyngeal or laryngeal plexus. And for Ajna chakra and Sahasrara, the pineal, pituitary, and hypothalamic complex. Of the 6 chakras in the spine, the bandhas are directly associated with the active stimulation of 3 chakras as follows. Mula bandha to the Muladhara chakra. Uddiyana Bandha to the Manipura chakra, and Jalandhara Bandha to the Vishuddhi chakra. Each of these physical and pranic locations is related neurologically to a specific counterpart in the spinal cord and brain, and therefore the psyche. Contraction at the physical level activates and awakens hitherto dormant faculties in the brain and mind, or psyche, usually present in only the most evolved mind. Mastery of the bandhas, therefore, leads to the fullest realization of our potential. The physical, endocrinological, and neurological aspects of bandhas can be understood when we appreciate the fact that the body is a complex yet well-organized field of various energy systems based on one fundamental energy principle called prana. Though they have vast physical repercussions of a positive nature, their main effect is on the body's energy systems at the pranic level. According to many esoteric philosophies, the downward flow of prana, or apana, represents the part which leads man's consciousness to the lower, more earthy elements, e.g., satisfaction of instinctual desire, overindulgence, lethargy, apathy, laziness, and so on. According to these philosophies, it is believed that man's essential nature is godlike, and that in order to reunite or realize the first cause, he must redirect his consciousness. Here the role of bandhas, and especially Mula Bandha, is to block the descending movement of consciousness and redirect it upwards. A useful analogy to aid our understanding of bandhas is to liken them to the locking, stopping, obstructing, and redirecting power of a dam wall. Energy, physical, mental, and psychic, is centralized and focused at the site of contraction so that it can be redirected for useful work as desired by the controller. These areas are infused with a fresh, vital force capable of checking imbalances in the body systems. To further understand bandhas, we must extend our view so as to see them not only as locks, but also as removers of locks or blockages in the form of physical and mental impurities. According to the scriptures, there are granthis, or psychic knots, located at Muladhara, Anahata, and Ajna chakras. Granthis represent blockages in man's awareness of himself at the different levels of consciousness. They obscure the true image of man's essential nature. Traditionally, bandhas were prescribed as one of the most effective means of untying these knots or blockages, existing as tension, anxieties, repressions, and unresolved conflicts, thereby allowing us to rediscover our true nature. The force generated from the bandhas may be likened to that of increased pressure in a tube. Imagine a piece of tubing resting vertically to the ground. This tube represents Sushumna Nadi, the main pranic energy channel which runs up the spine. Mula Bandha represents the sealing of the lowest portion of the tube, thus preventing the downward motion of prana. It stimulates energy in Muladhara, awakening Kundalini Shakti. Jalandhara Bandha seals off the top portion of the tube. Prana is now locked within this tube. Uddiyana Bandha completes Mahabandha. It further increases pranic pressure by stimulating the solar plexus or Manipura chakra, filling and expanding the closed tube. Thus, when Mahabandha is performed, prana is compressed in Sushumna. The locks prevent its downward and upward movement, at the same time stimulating energy. Release of the bandhas flushes prana through the whole body, and as prana is by nature vital, life-giving energy, the body is relaxed, toned, and rejuvenated. The granthis can then be pierced and untied, expanding one's consciousness. Bandhas and spiritual consciousness. According to yogic scripture, control of muscles and nerves controls the breath. Control of the breath controls consciousness. Bandhas are a means of extending control over breathing, and are thus a means to extend our knowledge and control over consciousness. Breathing rate and depth is said to be affected by states of consciousness, disease, atmospheric conditions, thoughts, exercise, and emotions. Research has shown that in states of tension and fear, respiration becomes short and shallow, while in states of relaxation, people take long, deep breaths. When bandhas are performed in conjunction with pranayama, contraction of the muscles takes place simultaneously with kumbhaka, or internal or external breath retention. The physical lock or contraction is applied, and at the same time, the breath is also immobilized or arrested. As a consequence, the consciousness is also arrested, stopping the flow between the polar opposites of inhalation and exhalation, birth and death, joy and sorrow, gain and loss. Through the perfection of bandhas, the yogi is able to lock himself into the eternal now, devoid of the dualities of existence, motion, and change. His consciousness is unfettered by the modifications of thought, enabling him to merge into the field of unified consciousness or oneness. As such, the bandhas induce pratyahara, or sense withdrawal, and are preliminary techniques for meditation. We find then that bandhas induce 5 different kinds of retention or immobility. Retention of muscles, breath, senses, thought, and consciousness. Once retention of consciousness is achieved, the yogi is prepared for the next stage of his spiritual rebirth, the awakening of Kundalini. The bandhas act as triggering mechanisms for the activation of this powerful force residing at the base of the spine. Technically speaking, Kundalini Yoga is comprised of any technique that leads to Kundalini awakening. Bandhas fall into this category and thus may be classified as techniques of Kundalini and Kriya Yoga. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video, hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and feel free to ask me any question in the comment section below. Due to the sacred nature of these videos, I would prefer to keep them ad-free. Please help me to do that by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below and make a donation to this channel. Every dollar counts. Thank you for your support.